Welcome back, students. Today we are going to see about journalizing. So what is journalizing? Journalizing is nothing but the process of making entries in the books of accounts. And the book is called as journal, and the process of making entries in the books of accounts is called as journalizing. So in the previous class, we have seen the golden rules and the classification of accounts. Let us just have a short recap about the classification of accounts. So accounts are classified into two, personal and impersonal accounts. So what is personal? So it deals with people, right? So it can be natural person, artificial person, and representative personal account. So natural person like you and me, Ram account, Sita account, Shyam account, Gokul account. So all these name of a natural person comes under natural person. Artificial person, all organizations, institutions. Example, State Bank of India, HDFC Bank, ICICI, IOB, Life Insurance Corporation, Bosco Academy, Apollo Hospitals. So all these comes under artificial person. Why it is artificial person? It has a separate legal identity of its own. So it is called as artificial person. Artificial person is created by law, having a separate legal entity. And then representative personal account. Example, insurance premium prepaid, outstanding salaries, outstanding wages. So as it is connected with an individual, a particular person or group of people, it comes under representative personal account. Coming back to impersonal, it is further classified into real and nominal accounts. So all assets of the business comes under real. So real can be tangible and intangible. What is tangible? Tangible items are those which can be seen, it can be touched, and it can be felt. Whereas intangibles are those which cannot be seen, it doesn't have any physical form or shape. So it cannot be seen or it cannot be touched. It can only be felt. Example for tangible, plant and machinery, building, equipments. So all these comes under tangible asset. Intangible like goodwill, the good reputation of the business, good name, which cannot be seen or touched. It can only be felt. Patent, copyright, trademark, all these are intangible assets. And nominal, all expenses and losses, incomes and gains comes under nominal. And few items like purchase written, sales written can either be treated as nominal account item, or it can also be treated as real account items as deals with stock of goods. It's all about the classification of accounts. And the next part, we have seen the golden principles or the golden rules of accounting. So based on the classification, so you have personal account, real account, and nominal account. And double entry system has two aspects, dual aspect. One is the debit aspect, the receiving aspect. The other one is the giving aspect, the credit aspect. For personal account, debit the receiver, credit the giver. Real account, debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Nominal account, debit all expenses and losses, credit all incomes and gains. So with that note, we are going to proceed further with journalizing now. How to make entries. So there are few steps for journalizing. First thing is, whatever transaction is being given, you have to read the transaction carefully and identify the two accounts involved. So each and every transaction has two accounts involved in it. So you have to first identify what are those two transactions, accounts involved in a transaction. Then we need to classify them into personal, real or nominal. So one account may be personal, the other one may be real, or both can be real account, or one nominal and one real, can be any combination. So after reading the transaction, identify the two accounts involved and then classify them into personal, real or nominal. And the third step is we are going to apply the golden rule. So when we apply the golden rule, automatically one account will be debited and the other one will be credited. So we have to write the entry and complete it with narration. So what is narration? A single line brief description about the transaction. You call it as narration. So narration is very, very important. So it helps us to recognize what kind of transaction is that. If we write entries without narration, and we may commit lot of mistakes. In case of any error, only this narration helps us to spot the error and rectification will be easier. So if there is no narration, we may not know exactly what transaction it is. So without knowing that, we cannot check our books properly. So that is the purpose of writing narration. And narration will be written just below the entry within brackets. So I will just give you few examples so that you can learn how to make entries. So just look at this transaction. On 1st of Jan 2020, Mrs. Radha commenced business with cash rupees 5 lakhs. So first step is that we are going to identify what are those two accounts involved. Radha commenced business and the initial amount is being invested by Radha. So we call that initial investment as capital. So here Radha's capital and cash. These are the two accounts involved. So first step is over. So we have identified what are those two accounts involved. Second step, step 1 got over. Step 2, we are going to classify these two accounts into personal, real or nominal. So Radha's capital, it is connected with Radha. So this comes under personal account. Cash. Cash is an asset. So all assets comes under real. So cash comes under real account. So step 1, we have identified what are those two accounts involved. Step 2, we have classified it into personal and real. Now step 3, we are going to apply the golden rule. So for personal account, debit the receiver, credit the giver. For real account, debit what comes in and credit what goes out. So now we know the rule and how to choose which one has to be debited and which account should be credited. So here Mrs. Radha commenced business with cash. So she is investing cash. Cash is coming into the business. She is the giver. So we are going to credit Radha's capital. So from the business point of view, cash is coming in. So we are going to debit cash. Able to understand? Now step 4, we are going to write the entry. So we know we are going to debit cash and we are going to credit Radha's capital. So let me just write the format of journal entries. So first thing, you have the date, particulars, title is journal entries in the books of Mrs. Radha. Then you have LF. This LF stands for ledger folio. So the next step after journal entries, we will be doing ledger. And this ledger folio column, right now it will be empty. When you post these entries into the ledger, in the ledger book, that page number has to be entered here. It is a reference number. So now we need not bother much about the ledger folio. Leave that column blank. Then we have the debit amount and the credit amount. So now, what is the date? So she is commencing business on 1st of Jan 2020. So as we have applied the golden rule, we are going to debit cash. So cash account. For debit, we are going to use DR. And then when you are going to credit Radha's capital, you have to write the word to. The next line. Okay. To Radha's capital account. So in the debit column, you are going to write 5 lakhs. Similarly, 5 lakhs on the credit column. Okay, step 4, we have written the entry and we are going to give narration within brackets. Being business commenced with cash. You can either use the word being. So this type of narration has been written long back. Nowadays nobody is writing the word being. They simply write short version of the transaction within brackets. So being business commence with cash. This is the narration. So now, in order to arrive at this entry, we have to go through these steps. So for from the examination point of view, they ask you to pass journal entries. You have to arrive at this entry. Okay. For your understanding only, I am teaching you like this. So how do we arrive at this final entry? Marks will be given only for this entry and not for all these things. You need not do all these things, but you have to do it in your mind. Able to understand? These are the steps to be followed in order to pass an entry like this. Able to understand, children?